Okay, YouTube, I'm back. I got 5 things to talk about. Always 5 things these days because for me to remember 5 things is a chore. I used to do more than that in a sesh, but now, yeah, the memory ain't what she used to be. So I gotta do 5 and I gotta strike fast and hot while I still remember what the fuck I'm talking about. Let's go. We got a bunch of stuff today, mostly video games, but some other stuff as well. We're gonna start with a book called IronHelm. Book 1 of the Maztica trilogy. This is from that Forgotten Realms series I've been hitting pretty hard with all the stuff that I've bought on thrift books over the last couple of years. So this story actually travels to or focuses on a land I haven't read about yet in the Forgotten Realms. It's kind of a lost land that's not normally written about in that series called Maztica. It consists of different regions, Nexal, I think, or Nexala, something like that, Koltaka, and then Payet. The Koltakans are very combative, always fighting with some of the other regions. So there's a lot of strife within Maztica, and it's a very natural region. There's different gods that these people pray to. Some minor gods like Tezca, the god of the sun, Lolth, who is a spider god who nobody really follows anymore. But the two main ones are oh shit, I forget his name now. Shit. Huh. Oh well. But anyway. Naltek or something like that. He is the god of war, and basically his followers sacrifice people, their own people, prisoners they find, whatever, slaves, and by cutting out their hearts and feeding it to the monument on top of these pyramids that fuel the god's pleasure and stuff like that. And then the other main god is Kodal, and he is a peaceful god. He is the god of peace, and he's like represented like by birds and feathers and stuff like that. But years ago, he apparently left Maztica and has rumored to be coming back. So in the meantime, the god of war, Naltakona or whatever his name is, has been running rampant, and he has many followers. They're all violent. They're always looking to cut a heart out. So it's a very savage land. And the warriors in this land, there's jaguar knights, so there's these warriors that can actually turn themselves into jaguars, and also eagle knights, same thing, warriors that can turn themselves into eagles. So it's a very strange, mystical land, and they don't have things like steel. They're very underdeveloped and natural still. So meanwhile, back in the Forgotten Realms, in Faerun, there is an expedition hitting the seas, led the Golden Legion, led by a guy named Cordell, are setting sail to try to get to a land called Karatur. They're trying to basically, instead of going across land and having to deal with all the fighting on the way to there, they're going to try and sail across the world and get to it from the other side by ship to avoid all the hardships. So that's their plan. But unwittingly, they end up on the shores of Maztica, of Payet in particular, and meet up with all the savage natural warriors of that land. And things don't go well. War breaks out, and the main characters on the Golden Legion, the Forgotten Realms, the Faerun side of things, Cordell is leading the mission. Then there's Dominicus, whatever, I forget his name. He basically is the spiritual leader on this trip. His daughter is along with him. Halloran, he's the leader of the horseback knights of this legion, and some other guys. De Grande, the dwarf, and Halloran is the main character of this bunch, though. So when they get over, Martine, who is Dominicus's daughter, seems to take a liking to Halloran as they're sailing, and she follows him to shore. And basically, the savage warriors of Payet get the drop on them, and they sacrifice Martine in front of Halloran. Dominicus hears this, and he's like, Halloran is an enemy, blah. So after all the fighting is over, Halloran returns to the Legion, and basically Cordell is like, yeah, sorry, Martine was on you. You're gonna be jailed in the bottom of one of the ships. But he stages a breakout. He steals Cordell's lover's spellbook, Darien, who is a dark elf, a drow elf, and helps the Golden Legion with all of her spells and stuff. He steals some supplies from her, unwittingly stealing her spellbook. Back when Halloran was a kid, he was originally trained to be a magical apprentice before he gave it up after a bit of an incident. And but he didn't realize the spellbook was in there, and when he finds that out after, he's like, oh fuck, she's gonna hunt me down and kill me for this. But the main character on the Maztican side of things is a young woman named Eryx. She was originally born in Nexel, or in that whatever section of Maztica holds the capital city of Nexel. And she has been blessed with the power of Pluma. So the god Codal, like I said, feathers have power and stuff like that. So she is some embodiment of this power. Just what that means yet, we don't know. But she has a power that she's unaware of. And but she's been foretold by the followers of Zaltek, that who is the god of war, that she's going to be a pain in their ass and possibly their undoing, and so she needs to be eliminated. But before they can hunt her down as a kid, she's taken captive by the Koltakans, and she's raised there for a while as a slave, but she has it pretty good there. And then her master in Koltaka eventually sells her to an owner in Payet, and then she's brought over there because these people are trying to save her and keep her out of the hands of the followers of Zaltek, because they are privy to the fact that she has a destiny in her hands that is going to hopefully save the land from all these nasty followers of Zaltek. So what ends up happening after this skirmish, Halloran gets taken captive. Eryx is now in Payet, watching all this battle from the jungle after she kind of escapes a situation in Payet. Halloran escapes from the ship. Like I said, he takes Darien's belongings with him. He flees to the jungle, meets up with Eryx, who he helped save on the battlefield, and the two of them steal off together and try and escape both the people of Payet who are after them, and the Golden Legion who are especially after Halloran after he deserted them and escaped captivity. So it's basically their flight from that point onwards from these mutual enemies. And the other player that's in play at this point that we don't really hear much about is a guy named Poshley, who is an Eagle Knight and the nephew of the ruler of Nexel. He goes into the desert to find the cave dwarves or something like that, because he has a vision about something and he wants to go there to confirm it. He sees something about Halloran and Eryx being the saviors of Maztica. So he eventually meets up with them, and the three of them continue this flight, but a dark elf is sent after them, a devoted follower of Zaltek called the Ancient Ones. So that's what one of these dark elves are. And it also releases like these hellhounds on the three intrepid heroes, but between the three of them, they're able to beat these hellhounds down and get the drop on this Ancient One. And that's kind of where the story ends. They have narrowly avoided disaster and escaped with their lives, and Poshley is going to take them back to Nexel and give them refuge while they decide what to do. And the meanwhile, the army of the Golden Legion is kind of regrouping after all this fighting and deciding what they're going to do next. And they've taken in all these soldiers of Payet who they defeated in these battles, and they're taking them in as their own now. To increase the number of their army. So we've got a few different things in play here for book 2. Can't wait to see where it goes from there. My description of the book may have been a little all over the place because there were a lot of things going on in this story. It took me a long time to finally nail down, okay, that's who that is. He does this, she does that, whatever. Very, very interesting story, but hard to wrap your head around at first. Yeah, so be it. I gotta use this brain sometimes because it's getting out of shape and I'm becoming dumber as I get older. I mean, I thought that was gonna happen anyways, but not quite this fast, right? Getting dumb. Anyways, next up is a TV show. I saw ads for this on Netflix. Oh, and that book was written in 1990, FYI. So, 1990, fuck of a year. Ooh, beautiful. This show I saw a preview of on Netflix, and I added it to my watch list because it just looks so cool and crazy. And it was released in 2023 and is apparently based on a long-going anime series. And the show in question is called One Piece. So One Piece focuses on a young boy named Monkey D. Luffy. Now this show is about pirates, but it's not your typical pirate show, and it takes place in some fantastical land. Like, it has nothing to do with reality. So Monkey D. Luffy is a young kid, and he wants to become a pirate. He lives in this little port, and there's these red-haired pirates that always come back from their adventures with all their booty, and Monkey keeps on them, Luffy keeps on them, like, I want to be a pirate, I want to join your crew. And they're like, you're just a kid, you'll get killed, like, it's dangerous, blah, blah, blah. This goes on for a long time. And then one day, some of the booty that these red-haired pirates bring back, I can't remember the leader of that group, but Monkey D. Luffy is in love with this guy. They bring back this little box that Luffy, I should call him. That's what everybody else calls him. He finds it, this little box, and he opens it up, and there's a weird-looking fruit inside of it. So he's like, oh, okay, well, it must be a good fruit if it's treasure, right? So he eats it, and it turns out it's a devil fruit or something like that. And they're pretty rare, but when somebody eats one, it grants them some sort of special power. So Luffy ends up being able to, like, he's basically rubber, like he's Gumby. He can stretch his arms like a million miles. People can shoot him, the bullets just bounce out of him. So he's just this goofy kid, but he's got this special power, and he's got a fuckload of enthusiasm and smiles for everybody. Now, Luffy has a vision, and his vision is the One Piece. Now, the One Piece is a fabled treasure that belonged to the pirate king known as Gold Roger. At the beginning of the series, Gold Roger is caught by the Marines and executed in the public square. But before he's executed, Gold Roger says to everybody watching, if you want to find my treasure, it's somewhere on the Grand Line. And so everybody's like, blah, scrambling, all the pirates are scrambling, let's go after it. So the Grand Line is basically some waterway that is hard to find. So Luffy's plan is to become the king of the pirates, get to the gold line, and find this One Piece treasure, and just live as a pirate king with all this wealth, with his crew and his friends, and just live the good life. So that's Luffy's dream. So it fast forwards a little bit until Luffy's, I don't know, he's probably a teenager. I don't know exactly where, but probably on the upper end of being a teenager. And he leaves the port in a little rowboat on an adventure, ends up finding this pirate ship ruled over by this savage woman. I forget her name, Altiva, something like that. And he boards the boat at night and meets up with one of Altiva's slaves, a little blonde, pink-haired kid with glasses. He reminds me of like a Harry Potter type guy named Kobe. The two of them kind of become friends, and Luffy's like, wow, you don't have to be her slave. Like, let's take the ship over and leave. So, and Luffy has this way about him. He's lucky, he's enthusiastic, he's got this superpower. He ends up doing just what he says, and he frees Kobe, and the two of them move on. So as Luffy goes on these adventures, he starts picking up crew members, always unwilling crew members at first. So he comes upon a guy named Roanoa something, Zoa. He wants to become the greatest swordsman in all the land, and he's pretty close. He's a pretty fierce warrior. Then eventually he runs into this girl named Nami, a red-haired girl who is really good at drawing maps, and her goal, like Roa wanted to become the greatest sword fighter in the land. She's really good at cartography. She wants to draw the first whole map of the world, sort of thing. And then eventually they meet up with a guy named Sanji, who is a chef and only fights with his legs so that he can save his chef hands from any sort of danger. And his goal is to find the the something blue, some sort of spot where a whole bunch of waterways connect. That is supposed to be super special for some reason. And then a guy named oh shit, I forget his name. Anyway, he's a really enthusiastic kid who uses a slingshot and tells exciting stories about all of his adventures, which are always exaggerated, and just wants to be a brave adventurer sort of thing. So Luffy keeps running into these people and picking them up. They all have their own backstories, and the episodes kind of flesh out. They all have flashbacks on all these characters to show how they got to where they are in life and how their goals came about. And there's a bit of betrayal, there's a bit of drama, of course, as the story moves on. But Luffy and his crew eventually find the map to the gold line. So they have the map in hand, but they also have some trouble. They have a couple of pirates breathing down their neck. They run into this clown pirate who, like Luffy, ate a devil fruit, and he can basically separate himself into pieces and then put himself back together. So he's hard to kill and deal with. So, and then there's a guy named shit, I forget his name. But anyway, he's a fishman. He's leading this band of fishmen who he say have been oppressed by humans for so long, and he's basically taking over all these lands, and he's causing them all sorts of problems because he wants the map to the gold line. So he's basically after them for that. So they've got all this opposition coming their ways, not to mention the Marines. And Kobe split ways with Luffy and went to join the Marines because that was always his dream, even though they're still friends. And the Admiral of the Marines, Garp, is after Luffy. And he's actually Luffy's grandfather. And he always wanted Luffy to grow up and be a good Marine, not a pirate. So he's out to get Luffy for personal family reasons. So all these people are chasing them while they're just trying to find the Grand Line. And of course, all sorts of action, all sorts of drama happens. And I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but we're setting up for a second season in 2026, I do believe. And I can't wait because this show is so fucking weird and so zany and so fun. I knew I was gonna love it as soon as I saw kind of the preview. I'm like, yeah, this is my kind of weird, right? And the characters are so neat, and yeah, it's just a crazy cool show. There's lots of violence, lots of blood, lots of funny parts. It's just a really different show. I really enjoyed it. So if you like strange things, watch One Piece. I love strange things. I love weird. So this was right up my alley. Anyways, on to the 3 video games I need to talk about. The first one is called A Way Out. A Way Out is a 2018 game developed by Hazelight Studios. Now, if you recognize the name Hazelight from my videos, they are the company that developed that It Takes Two game that me and James played that we love so much. It's a partner game. You can't play it with one player. You have to play it with another person because the whole game are these 2 people puzzles and problem solving that you have to do with each other to get through the game. So this game is the same sort of thing. Very different from It Takes Two. It Takes Two is that very cartoony, the parents getting divorced and the daughter being upset. Very, heartwarming but sad story in a cartoon type of setting. A Way Out is more real. It's presented as a real life graphic, and it takes place in the early 70s, and it features 2 guys, one named Vincent, one named Leo. Vincent goes to jail for, I think, murder and fraud or something like that, and then Leo goes to jail for assault, grand theft, and something else. And the 2 of them kind of meet up in jail, and Leo gets attacked by a minion of a guy, a crime boss named Harvey, who is the reason both of them are in prison. So the 2 of them, Leo ends up getting Vincent's help to secure a chisel from like the tool, like the tool room or whatever in the prison, so that he can start digging an escape tunnel behind his toilet in his cell. So Vincent starts helping him with this kind of stuff. They secure a wrench to open a grate, a bunch of sheets to make a look rope they can climb down. At first, Leo is very guarded and doesn't want Vincent's to help him and come along with the escape attempt. But eventually, when Vincent fills Leo in on the reason he's in jail is because Harvey fucked him over too, the two of them kind of form this bond and become partners and engineer this escape attempt to get out of prison. They do eventually escape. They go on the run. They steal a car and a bunch of shit from a farm, and then they go on a chase where the cops chase them, and so it's just this escape attempt, and there's all this story developing as you go, as each of them kind of fill in their backstory. And Leo's got a wife named Linda and a kid named Alex at home that he wants to check in on and make sure are okay, because he eventually wants to sort all this out, clear his name, and get back to them. Vincent, in the meantime, has a wife named Carol who he's kind of on the rocks with, but she's pregnant and they're about to have a baby girl. So all this kind of personal stuff fills in the gaps as they have these flashbacks and these talks as they're going through all these adventures. So eventually they track down a guy named Ray at a construction site who was one of Harvey's like top lieutenants or whatever. There's this big long chase scene through a construction site. It's really cool. And eventually you get Ray and you torture him for the location of Harvey, who's in Mexico. So then after checking in on their families, Vincent calls a girl named Emily who he knows can get him a plane, and the two of them go off to Mexico to confront Harvey for a final time and deal with their situation once and for all, so that they can go back to real life. So very cool game. Love the challenges, the two-player aspect of always having to work together and solve problems and come up with ideas and stuff. Such a cool, this Hazelight Studios really has a cool formula going on, and I've really enjoyed these two games so far. And I think based on, when you start the game, either player can play with either character. Like, we always chose the same guys. I was always Vincent, James was always Leo, but you can mix it up if you want. And depending on how there's a really big twist at the end, and I don't know if I'm just really naive and just think everything is always as it seems. There's nothing hidden going on behind the scenes and no motivations other people, might be going by. But I always think, oh yeah, everything's as it seems and everybody's telling the truth and whatever. And I'm like, maybe I should have seen that coming. I don't know. I'm too naive about things. But anyways, there's a big twist at the end of the game that kind of turns everything on its side. And depending on how the final battle in the game goes, I think there's multiple outcomes and different endings on how the game finishes up, depending on how things unfold in that final battle, which is kind of cool. So, but anyways, great graphics, great gameplay, really cool story. Hazelight has just done a fantastic job with these two games, and there are two more in our possession that we can play. So I plan on getting to those at some point, and can't wait because they haven't missed yet. So I'm assuming these other two games are also going to be pretty fantastic. So next up, second game of this batch, I bought my PS5 with my tax return. I couldn't find any of the games I really wanted at first, so then I had to go looking for something else. And the game I settled on because it was a good price and it's a franchise that I absolutely adore. The game is called Sonic Superstars. Sonic Superstars, I believe, was released in 2023, and it is a modern Sonic game that gets back to the old style, the side-scrolling 2D style, because with some of the Sonic games, they really got into more of a 3D aspect. And although some of them I liked, I felt like the classic side-scrolling that's where Sonic should be for the most part. I enjoy them a lot better than the 3D ones. So it's not a complete redo of the first game. It's all different levels and stuff, but it's done in that same style with similar elements, similar enemies. There's lots of new stuff in it as well, but a lot of old stuff. So basically the story is Dr. Eggman is up to no good again. He has enlisted Fang the Hunter and Trip the Sungazer, a couple of minor enemies, to aid him in kidnapping all of the, I think it's called the North Islands animals, so that he can create his own army of robots. Because as you know, he puts all these animals inside of his robotic creations and then tries to take over the world. So that's what he's up to. So of course, as Sonic, you are tasked with stopping this from happening. So as you start the game, you can play with 4 characters. You can play as Sonic, Tails, who can fly, Knuckles, who can like climb walls and stuff, and then Amy, who has a double jump. So they all have their own different kind of elements of what that character brings to the table when you're playing through the levels. In terms of the levels, there are 12 zones in total, with a total of 26 levels, or acts as they are called. Some zones only have 1 act, whereas most of the other zones have between 2 and 3. Most of the zones are like regular type of acts, are full of like regular acts, but then some zones also have one that can only be accessed if you collect fruit and then trade in your fruit to access that act. And then it's more of a bonus level, like it's more of collecting rings. There's no boss at the end of it, sort of thing. It's just more for fun and for earning stuff. So as you make your way through the game, there's the similar elements of Sonic. Like you have the springs that send you on a big speed burst. You have shields you can pick up. Of course, you've always got to collect as many rings as possible, because that's your defense. If you get hit, you drop your rings. But as long as you're holding at least 1 ring, when you get hit by somebody, you're not going to die. And then at the end of most levels, there is a boss. This game's bosses were insane. The first number are fairly simple, but once you get into the game a little bit, and as you move towards the end, the bosses become absolutely insane. There were some really tough battles, but some really cool battles too. Like this game really took the boss ideas to next level. There was some really cool stuff in this game. And yeah, so if you make it through all 12 zones and complete all the acts and then defeat Dr. Eggman in the end, you've won the game. Now, similar to the original Sonic game on the Sega Genesis, you can enter bonus levels during some of the acts that will take you to a chase for one of the Chaos Emeralds. There's 7 Chaos Emeralds in the game, and in the original Sonic game, if you wanted to get the true ending, you had to acquire all of the Chaos Emeralds and then beat the last level to do that. In this game, you don't need technically to collect all the Chaos Emeralds to truly beat the game, but each Chaos Emerald grants Sonic a power. So this is something a little different from the traditional 2D side-scrolling Sonic games. Like the blue Chaos Emerald, you have a little wheel you can use with the R stick to pick the power you want and then press square to engage it. Like the blue emerald grants you all these Sonic clones that when you press square, when you have that one equipped, all these Sonics come flying across the screen and they will hit your enemies and take them out. One of them lets you climb up waterfalls, a whole bunch of stuff. So there's obviously 7 of them. So when I beat the final boss of the game, the final Eggman, I was really struggling with it, and then I totally forgot about my powers until I saw a video of a guy doing it. I'm like, fuck, I can just equip the blue Sonic spammers and send them at him when it gets into the dog days of the boss fight and finish him off, and that's how I did it. So really cool game, very, very faithful to the original Sonic side-scrolling games, but they made it, they updated it, they made it really pretty, they designed all new levels with really cool bosses, and introduced some new gameplay elements too. So this is a really solid game. Like if you're looking for something, and it's a good price too. So if you love Sonic and you love side-scrolling games, like you won't miss with this one. Just be prepared for a bit of a challenge when it comes to the bosses. I may have almost rage quit several times when I was playing this game. Anyways, last up, a really cool game me and James were playing together. We love the really cool 2-player games, and this game in particular is called Moving Out. Moving Out is a 2020 release, and it was developed by some Australian company, I believe it was. And oh, it's got to be at least a few years ago. Um, I believe I may have posted some gameplay footage of the Overcooked games, very similar to that, but except in this one you're movers, not cooks. So the premise is that you work for a company called Smooth Moves, and this game is very funny, a lot of humor, a lot of joking around, and not taking itself seriously, which is pretty fun. So basically, you work for the Smooth Moves moving company, and you are tasked with going to all these different locations, moving all the shit at these locations into the moving truck within a certain time limit. Now, the one of the funny things about it is they always talk about like breaking stuff is fine. You're allowed to break whatever you want. It's fine. So depending on how you do on each stage, you'll earn a medal, bronze, silver, gold, and that all depends on how quickly you do it. If you fall within the golden time range, you get the gold medal. And then you can also get a platinum medal, but you don't know what time that is until you've run through it the first time and gotten a gold medal, sort of thing. So, and then there's also 3 bonus objectives in each stage that you don't know what they are until you've beaten the level once, and they will reveal themselves. It's goofy stuff like break all the glass in this one house when you do it. Shoot a hoop with the basketball out front. Throw a chicken in the moving truck, right? So all kind of different sorts of objectives that you can shoot for. It doesn't earn you anything. It's just fun to do, sort of thing. So so then I forget how many levels there were in total. It's a pretty long game. It's not short. And especially if you're going back with each level and trying to maximize your performance and get that gold medal and get all the side objectives. We got most of them, but there were some that we just couldn't quite achieve. And then, of course, it leads up to the final level. And there is a bit of a plot line in this. There's some sort of nefarious group that's been manipulating you at the end of the game. And you kind of face off against them in the end and save the day, sort of thing. You save Packmore, which is the city that you operate out of. Once you beat the game, you can go and do some additional challenges if you want. So as you progress through the game and achieve certain things, you will unlock bonus levels. And these levels can be accessed in 2 different buildings on the map. One of them is the VHS Superstore, which replays old scenarios from Smooth Moves past. Like one of them, you're moving stuff out of a moving airplane, sort of thing. So these kind of short levels that are just for fun at the end. And then the other area is the arcade. And there are challenges there as well, but they're a little different. They're in these weird 3D futuristic Tron-looking environments, and you have to do certain things in these environments. And yeah, they're just for fun. They don't earn you anything. It's just a little bit of depth to the game, and it keeps your adventure going longer than it would once you beat the game, sort of thing. So really fun game. At first I was like, oh, it's good, but it's not great. It's not as good as Overcooked. And it isn't quite as good as Overcooked, but it is really good. Once I got into it a little bit, I really started liking it more and more the more that we played it. So, and it's super cheap too. So if you like fun games, really fun, easy games that are entertaining, funny, and fun to play with a friend or family member on your couch, the Moving Out series is really good, and the Overcooked series is really good. And then, of course, all those games from Hazelight that I was talking about, they're really good as well. So lots of good 2-player action lately, and I find that's fun to find because I find that over time with all of the online play and whatever, 2-player local couch co-op has become somewhat of a lost mode in a lot of games, and it's too bad because it's way more fun than playing with people online. So, but that's the age we're living in these days. It's kind of sad, but it is what it is. But anyways, we had lots of fun knocking down these games, doing all the other stuff, watching One Piece, reading books. Can't wait to get back to you with my next 5. I've already got 2 of them in the bank, so I got to find 3 more things. And needless to say, I will be back.
Meow.